themselves in on the top board, because you're looking at LFO's sort of final run of games. Next week it's Heroic, who are obviously currently sitting in first. That's going to be a huge sort of showdown. And then they got Pons, who are sitting at the bottom of the board. So if they take this, suddenly they find themselves in a really good thread for this end of season run.
Yeah, they do need points here, LFO. Navi's run at the major, whilst it is still alive, it could still happen. It is going to be very unlikely for it to do so. LFO are in that position, just mentioned it, where basically they just need to pick up 4 points in total, I believe, to lock themselves in for the major. So if you manage to get 3 here today, then you find yourself in a really good position. And well, Clubhouse, of course, a map that everybody knows how to work with, how to deal with, turns a bit into a 50-50 that way. Now, is LFO prepared to take Navi here? Are they going to be, well, upset by Navi being able to pull off some great attacks at the start? We just have to wait and see. But if Mowgli plays like he has been in the past couple of Playdays, then it's going to be a very tough ask for Navi here.
It's the really strange position Navi find themselves in. Obviously, the last map that they won in this sort of competition was on Club, and it was 3 Playdays ago, pretty much, versus Pons. They took it 7-4. But the game before that, they are the only team that's handed defeat to Heroic. They are able to take that win there, and it was a quick game on Bank, 7-2. So they're able to still have these moments where they connect. Obviously, they've lost the last 2 Playdays, whereas LFO has been a little bit more of an up-and-down story, but they generally consistently find themselves in OT. They've had 3 sort of trips there, and 2 of them they've lost, more than any other team in this entire league.
Yeah, and I mean, it is still important that you make overtime, of course. Some might say, well, if you lose, what does it matter? I mean, it's 2 points they managed to get out of those 2 OT losses, and those 2 points basically make it so they don't need to win 2 full-on regulation games in these next 2. Just 4 to 5 points in total, rather than the 6 or 7 they would otherwise need. So, you know, those overtime losses, they do truly help them here at this stage of the stage. And that's something that Navi probably would have liked to have as well. Just 6 points to the major. They need everything to go their way. They need to do everything they can themselves, pick up all 9 points in the next coming 3 games to really put themselves in a good position. And, well, that is just going to be a very tall ask. Either way, up to the game at hand at least. Secretly, quickly dispatches of the cam inside of the garage here, just to stop any of the information to be gathered if they want to go for a push there later on. Because LFO, for now, seem to be roaming quite heavily up on that top floor.
And as was pointed out on the desk, Rise hasn't had the best ride as that sort of entry statistic. He's often found himself on the wrong end of it. There, the position he's holding, he's sort of got a couple of extended players. Mowgli's obviously pulling himself a little bit further back, but look at the pressure over the top of the hatch. Look at it coming around from Thunder on the back line. They're quickly isolating that position. And sure, there's a gate that's going to stop at least the projectile, but there's still projectiles to roll your way through. The gate is long since burnt. Rise is being watched as he slips his way through, finds a second. Uses it well, gets that body. Nath finds Mowgli. Rise gets that instant revenge. There was a second player there just in case he fell, but still a quick take.
Yeah, 3 there eventually, just on those main stairs, 1 picked up. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Mowgli, of course, one of those high-performance players on the side of LFO. Being picked up early is going to be helping Navi a little bit later in the round. There's 90 seconds left. Quickly looking over to the right to see a single C4 on the hands of Bibu. So if they want to start putting any pressure down into that kitchen, they need to be careful for that C4 to potentially be tossed up. Especially if the hatch is being opened up, they could just as well toss it up at that right moment. Or if they have any other form of information on what's going on, let's say Sledgehammer that starts hammering down from above, you can quickly try and find them that way as well.
That's it. You can see Navi, they're a little bit skittish on the approach. They don't entirely know that they've got the full clear on those main stairs, and they're making sure nobody's in a position to swing up. As this starts, as you said, there's C4's pockets of pressure that can be applied. Blur's getting himself a little bit of width and range here with that extended wall through, and he's just making sure he doesn't get an easy caught against him. There goes the moto hatch. That's popped open, and this is when the danger really starts. Goes closer towards the C4's just behind, does half damage. They don't quite get the full finish. This grenade is going to rattle and roll its way to those corner and doesn't quite get itself all the way down.
He dealt some damage to himself right there. Impact Tricks is being attempted to get rid of the Selmas, but believe they have failed. And that means the hatch... Oh no, the Selma didn't go off properly. It wasn't misplaced. And that means the actual hatch will stay closed. Is there anything left? Nope. Kak has no Selmas left right now, so the kitchen hatch will stay closed.
That's a huge blow, and whether it was just in the shake of the impact, either way, 10 seconds, motor's open, but nothing else really is. Secretly dives his way through, caught out, Rise and Shinka with one apiece. Yak gets a huge take with Thunder, doubling it down. They're inside Church, but they only have a second, gotta hit the floor. Unfortunately, no way. LFO get the opener.
Actual down came through there, so it was an effective 1v1, but still, with the timer running out, you do not want to go for that plant. You want to make sure that you get that kill. Otherwise, you're just going to be a sitting duck. And LFO, they started off strong here, that first defense, but as per usual, it is that bottom floor. It is quite defendable. It is quite hard to get an attack to stick there. I believe normal win rate is 40% for the attack, something like that. Especially if you have the Selmas that, I think one was misplaced. Like what they tried to do is put it on the soft and make it go over. There was no point on doing that really, because there is no Cade on the board. Normally you try and get it that way if there's a Cade, because you can then still open it without dealing with the Electroclaw. So you could have just tossed it on. I think maybe it was safer for the impact, but as a result they failed doing so. And that is quite an unfortunate series of events. And an 0-1 for LFO. And the Baron stage is seeming to come out now, as the timeout has, or the rehost rather, has ran through. We are back into the game, still headed towards bar stage. Operators, of course, will stay the same. Nothing there will change. The setup, however, can. I doubt they'll do it, because there's not been much time to actually gather around what was exactly being set up. And indeed, the extension into the strip club will still be there.
It's like a replay, because they've got to replay the same site. And you're going to do your hold the same way. It's the first time and testing it. There's nothing that they wanted to really do any different here. Again, it was just a sound quick rehost, but we're back in. If you missed it, LFO took the first round. It came down to time. It was a 1 versus 1. Technically, there was a downed player on the other side, but with only pockets of seconds left, it wasn't really anything NAVI could really turn into success there.
No, the other player was way too far out near the boxes. I mean, could have technically rotated into blue, and that's why you did see the pre-fire coming down into blue, hoping that you were able to pick up the kill as a result, but it wasn't allowed to be. And an 0-1, thus, is the score. NAVI still, I have to say, brought it quite close. They managed to get to the site, even though the small mistakes that they have made, just not exactly in the position where they could go for a plan. But that will only change as we proceed throughout today's matches. Nave, waiting for the call from Kayak here so he can start opening up. Of course, needed to make sure that it was exactly clear. No one was hiding on the other side, because that is a bit of an awkward moment when you hammer it open and there's just someone waiting at the other end to just run out on you.
Well, here's where the catch might happen. Mowgli is holding a pretty direct angle there, just far enough away so the gate wouldn't deactivate, so they wouldn't get the full read. Yak suffers a little, which when you are bringing some of that hard destruction and the kit itself, you want to make sure you keep yourself standing. Blur, he suffers a bit of a scrape here, whether that was from the close window swing there. They're just trying to find each other. Mowgli's refusing to give up territory, and Rise is holding the angle with a little bit more length. You can see they're just trying to get a bit of width, force the players further and further away. All of NAVI has generally got themselves set up. They're going to see if they can try and force them out of construction, out of this side here. The air jab to catch a rotation and make sure they have a little bit more of that. Safety is the most important cause here. That's the play.
So very well hidden in between the beams there, but Mowgli will be able to find 1 out of the 3 that have been deployed, so that is a little bit less to worry about here. Of course, the problem might be if there's a second somewhere actually in between them and they don't know about it.
That's it. It's about knowledge at this point. You can see NAVI, they have some knowledge that a bit is safe, but they've still got a lot of knowledge of what they've got left to do. Thunder's going to hold on, make sure they keep a bit of a lockdown. You can see a couple of LFO players teasing with the idea of pulling themselves back in. They're trying to find where those air jabs went, but buried up in those lattices on the roof, they're really going to have to try and find themselves directly underneath. In the meantime, NAVI, they feel confident to try and pull themselves up. You can see a bit of a drone game, maybe a bit of pressure coming towards Strip there. They're sort of a bit spread out, and I think they're a bit curious. Why does it feel so clear?
Well, the thing is, right, this really relies on the hatch being in control of LFO, and Mowgli now really taking that control. Thunder still being up there, knowing one is near the actual logistics side of things. They might actually want to go for a plant, but with that player now above, I believe that's Mowgli. He's getting pinged out. They know he's there, but they also know at the very same time you cannot go for a plant at that moment in time. So the side is completely clear. However, all the angles into the sides are being covered by LFO, and that is what's stopping them from moving in now until Kayak starts to go for the plant now.
But there is an echo on the board, and Well, there's also a catch there. Takes the C4, goes for the second. Nath locks it in. The Echo is a little too late there. We heard it just pop off, but the plant had already been cemented. Thunder swings on, and LFO sort of had a lot in their pockets here for this to just come through. NAVI, they saw a gap and opportunity, took it. They're able to get a body back. Bibu locks it off on Billiards and pots a player, but less than 30 seconds left now, and they're going to see if they can try and push their way back round from the back of Bar. Big rotation coming through. Shinka still trying to play on that verticality above the kit, above the site itself, stop the swing and see if they can stop the player. But here it comes. There's the drop. There's a very important catch. And Nath with the crossfire. NAVI battle back.
Just in time as well from the main door here. Was able to find the angle just. And well attacked here. Good call to actually go for that defuse. I'm not sure what happened with the echoes. Like, where were the yokai drones? Were they just not in place? Was nobody watching them? I mean, it was a 5-on-5 at that point, so no one was actually dead. And if everybody was being contested, then, well, it is, of course, quite hard to find it. And NAVI, they get their first round on the Baron stage. A side that is yet to be found the most successful. It is struggling out there, right? I mean, even if you manage to keep a hold on that top floor, there's still ways to go for a plant eventually. And, well, Mowgli thought this might have been safe because he's been able to swing it before, but this time they've actually able to pick up the double kill from that same position there, locking off the hatch from being contested. And, well, with that hatch being on the lock and key, Kaya can just go for a plant for free.
Now, LFO, as I said, there was a little bit of a slip up there from my books, especially when you still have, obviously, that Echo. And we heard it pop off. There was still drones that were on board, whether that was just a bit of a miscommunication, because they were frequently and actively trying to battle their way back. Obviously, there was the ping that came out on the player above the hatch that forced Mowgli away, and they just sort of went in the wake of that. But you'd still have that communication. You'd still sort of say, look, they're putting pressure. They have a knowledge. They're right on stage, and stage is open. Keep an eye. Unfortunately, they didn't.
Yeah, no information there. Again, not sure if they took out the yokai drones or if they were just, you know, too far away. Maybe an EMP managed to disable them temporarily. I mean, there was the opportunity of bringing that Thatcher, of course. So I'm not quite sure. We would have to go back into replays to truly find out. That is not something we'll do now. What we'll see right now is the quick opening here with the double Selma on the CCTV wall. Nothing there to stop it from happening. I mean, there's just a mute on the board, and I don't even think a mute jammer had been placed around that wall. They expect it to open up, and of course, rightfully so, they're not playing on CCTV cache. They're in the gym in the bedroom, so you can take this as a first initial loss.
Well, you can see Rise setting himself up some angles. Huh?
They use a third exothermic at the CCTV wall. They did.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Selma's gone. That's a big breach. They have all the space in the world. They want to walk in and take this fight against P4 and everything behind it. They don't want to go for the hot hop because that would put them a little bit too far in, so they can't play that. They burn it out. They force the player. The canister goes off, and they force a retreat. P4 suffers quite a lot there. Just caught by the edge of blow, who tries to get into a position to really put the pain and the hurt on, but for all the compliments I paid NAVI before, they almost got a great catch there. Just one player, not quite being on that window of construction, being able to maybe cement one of those two players that's out of there. They forced the play, though. They forced them via logistics. They've got them out of there, and now they can try and put some pressure onto construction.
Still a very good and quick clear, though. 1:30, they have full control of CCTV and cache now. Construction is being opened up as well, which allows you to try and chase Logi. Just a blind fire coming through onto Mowgli there. He's being tagged up just a little bit, and that might have been a drone catching off where his abouts were at that moment. But he's rotating back towards the side, and he will be fighting around that area, and that might be a big worry for NAVI here, who are still looking to find an entry. They still want to get the first kill to go their way. This grenade might just be it. No, it lands too short.
They expected him to be behind the gym equipment. P4 on a sliver of health is playing just in front, 40 seconds. And Bibu's holding the breach or potential onto the gym side as well. Pings, continual reveal of players. There's a spray through. Nath gets one. P4 gets revenge. That'll be the call. And that'll be the isolated player, though. But they know where he is. There's a hefty hold here onto that corridor. Mowgli's trying to swing his way up the top. There's a drop player, though. Yak goes down. Can't get back up. Seek release storms the way up the stairs. There's the pick back up to make sure they have the man advantage. Thunder with the slow creep round on the backside, the drop of the camera and the reveal of the player, but it's Shinka that wins out. A bit of a spray and control. Rise does the same on the opposite side. More, but it's Nath this time. Finally finishes off P4, but 10 seconds. They got to try and find their way to get a kit down. He's getting caught by the shotgun. The second is a spray down. Secretly has to find the kill. Shinka, he's long gone. Can he find it? He'll just have to spray. He's out of time.
The time ran out. They're unable to get the right wall bang through. And I was a bit worried there when I saw it's only 2 SMGs up against 3 Navi members, but it worked out just fine in the end there when the shotguns came to play. And LFO, they win this round, but just barely, I have to say, because that could have gone really wrong there if they knew about the player inside the gym. Could have been a pre-fire through the window, for example, but not one that succeeded there. And LFO does take that second round. They take the lead back into their own hands and will be headed towards the bottom floor again, the basement, the one that they have been able to win before. You gotta say, there was some small mistakes made by Navi based on opening up that hatch. Maybe the Jackal being in a bit of a predicament, being challenged by 3 players on the main stairs when he tried to pick only one up from a scan. And all those things, if they go the other way around, it would have been a clear Navi victory.
Time.
Yeah.
That most precious resource twice. Twice has been the reason that a round has ended. And we're not going to say that a round could have gone one way or the other. But the fact of the matter is that's 2 attacks now that have ended out on a time thing. Is this a question of Navi or is this a question of LFO? Because we've seen both teams have these sort of mixed successes. Navi obviously couldn't attack at the very beginning of the season, have started to get a bit sharper, and they are showing the workings of good attacks.
Yeah.
But it's falling just a little bit short, and it starts to raise this question of, is it them falling short or is it LFO just doing enough?
I was going to say, because they opened up CCV cache relatively quickly. Within a minute 30, people were already inside, and the LFO members had rotated out back towards the actual site. So he had 90 seconds to start hammering down onto the direct area of that site. We see something relatively similar now as they open up the top quite quickly. I mean, it's not very heavily contested, but they know there's players out there, and this time you might be able to catch off Rise and Mowgli if they try and get back down those staircases.
Well, there's a mute jammer that doesn't stop that breach at the top, and it's positioned and played, and it gives them a bit of width. The use of the hard destruct, it's been a little bit scrappy at times, I think, from Navi on their approach. They haven't quite had the same positioning on it that might have been able to offer a little bit more.
It's being spotted out by that drone. It's actively being watched as well. Blur just sitting on that drone. All right, we have one inside. Nothing really happening. Thunder is looking to creep up close. He gets these pings, but he's too afraid someone might still be around. Oh, that's going to be a pre-fire and he injured, so well done there. I mean, that drone really worked out, but Mowgli is able to strike back instantly. Tries to rotate down the main stairs, but Kayak's still on the breach.
There it is, the important catches. We talked about this before. Last time Navi did this approach, they had the player down at the bottom of those stairs and was able to get into a bit of back and forth, but only caught one. This time, they made sure their hand was more ready to be played from multiple different angles. The intense play onto that first player. None of that sort of leading in with the burning of the Aruna gate, none of that sort of early work, because I think they've realized LFO at the first side of danger gets out of there, regardless of the site that they're holding, and then they'll try and slowly creep back in, but their first MO is to move away, and it's had mixed success for them so far, and that's the game that Navi is now trying to keep pace with. How do you get close enough to the rabbit to catch it before it runs away?
I definitely found them this time around by just holding off these angles. I mean, there's only a couple of exit points. One is the hatch in construction, the other one is the main stairs. If you manage to find one locked off, then the other one will be used. Basically putting a fire in from one side of the rabbit hole and then forcing me out the other way.
Now, enough of those bunny-based funds for the weekend. Happy Easter, everybody who celebrates it. Let's see who celebrates this round. Blur gets one more, and it's starting to look more and more lightly like there's the basket full of chocolate eggs, but it's a drop and a back and forth over on the opposite side, leaving just Shinka alone. A bit of a swing round onto the side of Moto. Well watched, well played. 15 seconds and no kit in hand, though. That's the big play right now. They've got to see if they can try and find a way through. Perfect burning of those canisters there, and Yak's just going to try and dive his way through. He's got into that little tucked-in corner. Shinka's not going to be able to get a clean shot onto him. He won't even see. Blur keeps it level.
Yeah, had a little bit less vision being obscured by the smoke canister there. Was able to find him right behind the shield as it blew up. Something that kind of stood out to me, though, is the triple wall, only the middle wall to be reinforced. So that allowed them to open up on the sides. You want to run for that middle reinforcement. I mean, you saw it there when one kill came down from the motorcycle. But then you still have a second player watching either the left side, and you have one from main watching the right side. So there's no way you're actually going to be able to dig in close because there's just these cross angles set up. Now bar again to be brought out by LFO, and after NAVI has been able to, well, improve on the mistakes that they might have made in that first time around when they were attacking that bottom floor, mainly shutting down the rotations back to that basement, they instantly find success. As I said before, like these small mistakes, they cost you rounds in the end, and now they're headed towards bar. And if you remember, some mistakes that were happening here is, well, not paying enough attention to the hatch, maybe, or rather, that one was being watched by attackers, which really allowed you, or disallowed you, to make use of that. And the second one is the yokai drones. Where were they? Were they misplaced? Were they EMP'd out? Were they taken out? You know, there's so many things that could have happened there, but we kind of missed that in the bigger picture of things. With the IQ coming out, they know there's going to be an echo, and this scanner will instantly find those yokai drones as soon as she's in reach.
Now, if NAVI are able to get a third here on their attack, I think that puts them in a really good place to lead on over onto their defense here. They've had the sharpness to them, and as I said, their main thing they've fallen victim to here has been time. They've generally had a better taste of how to get into this so far. LFO, I think, there's more in the canister. There's more that they can try and bring, and they've got to try and bring it here. 2 more rounds to lock in a 4-2 and hope for the best as they turn over onto the other half. Nath, he's going to start the drive here across the top. They're going for a standard clear, and once again, they're going to be angling here onto the site that was their first success a couple rounds ago.
Yeah, trying to take quick control of CCTV cache again, and successfully done so as well, using these breaching charges to open up the softballs quickly, provide some extra lines of sight, and well, that gives them the opportunity to move quickly now. Again, you see these air jabs being placed in the little beams above and hidden every single where, so they need to look very carefully if they want to retake the construction side. And if you're looking at the top, if you're looking at the ceiling for these air jabs, your gun is not pointing at head level. You're not going to be able to take the fights with the attackers out there.
Now, Nath on the roll of the IQ might be able to stop and take care of any of those echo drones if they're going to pose a little bit more of a problem. Shinka is a backline here as well. The roll of the Oryx to see if they can try and swing round. As the breach starts to happen underneath there, still NAVI progressing. They're making sure they have all the eyes, they've got the clarity of the space, and so far LFO are doing this slightly differently. They're not already trying to take construction. They, at this point, were biting back and just seeing if they could put little scrapes and scratches into those players of NAVI, but so far, no dice. The smoke canisters pop, Nyak goes deep to try and cover anything that might get it. The Echo pops to the default spot, doesn't quite get it. Oh, no, it's an air jab, you're right, but it's a current LFO pickup, a post plant though. Somehow in amongst the madness, they get it off, leaves it in a 5 versus 2. Yak did everything he needed to. Now it's down to Blur and Secretly to see if they can do everything that could be a huge boon here.
Well, it's going to be 2 and 4. Blur will find one. Secretly, however, trades one more the way towards NAVI. So it's a 2 and 3. 20 seconds on the clock. They know someone is around the baby steps here. Blur, you just need to waste time. You don't need to go for the swings. And the defuse is now coming through. 16 seconds. They might actually turn this back around, but Secretly goes for the run. He spots the leg. He's trying to get the kneecap, and he will successfully do so as well. The time might just be enough. Yes, it is. B4 will get the clutch eventually there. And Blur, he might have been a little bit too aggressive there. You didn't need to take the gunfights. You just needed to waste some time. He swung instead onto launch, got himself killed, and put Secretly in a 1v3 situation. But NAVI again got the plant off. I'm again wondering, where were these yokais? We didn't see them again. The Echo was taking a gunfight instead.
How close was that?
Also, why is no one playing in the kitchen? They open up these long angles to play from kitchen, so you can stop the plant. No one is in there. So it's like, there's some small things that could have stopped that plant. It was very close.
It was so close.
0.4 seconds left, but they shouldn't have had that. LFO shouldn't have had that to start off with. They should have been a NAVI round. Based on how they were set up, the utility again not being used, and, you know, maybe it got taken out, but we didn't see that, so I wouldn't know.
LFO! That was a scrape by, let's be real, and if anything, that's the sort of round that highlights how this game has gone, as NAVI, I think, have had the better run of what you're doing. And yeah, you're attacking onto club, everybody generally knows it. If a team that struggles on attacks, generally, this is a map that they're going to probably have a better time on. but it's all that energy. It's that way that usually LFO, you're a team that fights and you refuse to sort of let things lie. You're always often getting into engagements and leading on that sort of front foot. And here, it feels like you're sort of playing towards the Navi pace. And that's the worry when you find Navi working with pace on their side. Navi, one more chance here to see if they can try and bring things level. They've been pretty good at it so far, just bouncing back and forth, and that should have been their round, but it wasn't, and that wasn't is the important part of this.
Yeah, it definitely is, because that is what eventually comes up on the scoreboard. It's not about the sentimentals, it's about the pure numbers in the end here. As they want to open up quickly again towards the gym side of things with the jacuzzi wall to open up. You see Mowgli and Rise instantly helping down. P4 there as support. They did not want to be caught off by Nave and the Jekyll again because it is being brought. They will never know, of course, until they do get the spot or the gun sound. And they're all back on site. They're all playing it safe. They're turtling down, and this time around, these drones that have been pre-placed will not find anybody up on that top floor. Everybody's long gone. And that gives Navi a lot of time, actually, to start hammering down onto the side. To start opening up these hatches, to start opening up the triple wall, which is actually... Okay, so it wasn't reinforced, just the middle panel. The outside panel was reinforced, but from the other side, this way. Grenades are harder to get tossed through, so that is why that happens. But it looks soft if it gets opened up and you're looking from the church side of things.
Yeah, I'm all about that lip at the top. Makes it a little bit trickier to throw things through it, but the way it leans over means if you're behind it, it's easier to angle things. Here, Navi, they have their attention being paid down below. This side has been a bit back and forth. They aren't going to try and double down on Jim. They think that they can make this church hold work. And here, once again, LFO, they've handed territory over quickly, but it's still coming down to this 5 versus 5 fight. They haven't lost the players, and that's the important part. At this point before, 2 had already been dropped from their team. It was a 4 versus 3, and they are hoping and trusting that the pressure trade game in the final sort of dying seconds of the round is something that's going to work for them, because it has before.
It was not something you can continue to rely on. Bieber with a nitro cell still in hand is waiting for an extra thermic or something to start going off here. And as Blur continues to open up, he's probably just trying to bait that explosion and successfully will do so now. And now he feels a bit more safe. And he instantly is starting to take some of these challenges here with the Selma's now popping off as well. That's an impact tossed in quite weirdly. He's not going to be able to get it. The second one would have destroyed if there was a second one on it, which seemed to have been the case. And again, the kitchen hatch will stay closed. It will stay in the hands of LFO. However, a small angle has been created. Could be used by an attacker, and if they do decide to go in deep into the actual arsenal room, that might be helpful.
Now Mowgli, he's holding off from the door. You're looking at that time, and you're looking at 15 seconds, and smoke's being dropped either side. They're going for the run, the breakthrough, but look at that, Mowgli! He pops off, he locks down pipes. It's a 5 versus 1 on the wrong side of a locked hatch. Nowhere Nath can go, other than looking at a scoreboard that says 4-2 LFO.
With the hatch being partially open and so much work being done onto the actual armory side of things, or the kitchen rather, if you're looking at it from that first floor, I was almost thinking like probably they are going to be rushing into the armory using the sledge to open up a hole and go through. And that's where these 2 smoke canisters from Jekyll came in. They wanted to lock off both lines aside. But as Mowgli saw the first getting caught by the magnet, he knew that the second one was shortly to come in as well. And as he saw that bounce in front of his screen, he just decides to run through, because if he just tossed out a smoke, he doesn't have his gun up, and the rest is probably around the main stairs about to be pushing in, and was able to pick up the triple kill as a result. So an incredible decision made by him. He sees that bounce, instantly starts running because he knows they are coming in here, and at the moment that sledgehammer is back on the back of Sledge, he already sprayed them all down. So well played, a good decision by Mowgli.
Also worth throwing in the work there of the smoke. The call was instant. We saw Shinka long armor smoke perfectly towards that corner that they had their sledge entrance. They had the read. They knew the play. It was communication between those players on the right-hand side there of LFO, and they trusted their gut that, well, Navi had struggled on that utility game, on getting their way in, and if we just sort of let them mess around with that for a while rather than the hunt the LFO players game, which they're much better at, we'll find ourselves in this situation. But Navi, still work to be done. This is a pretty balanced half. You had a couple of chances to put a little bit more work in. Now's the time to really see if you can try and keep that pace and let this game go back into your hands.
The Bit of a pre-fire being returned here by Secretly, just to let them know, hey, if you want to open up Garage, that's totally fine, but we will be watching you. We will know, even if you take out that camera, which have been removed, of course, by Mowgli now. And Navi, on that defense, is looking to play aggressively here. Secretly swung onto the garage door, but Mowgli already up the steps, already up the rafters, able to find a kill. And he's now hunting up to that top floor. He's now chasing Nave, whether he knows it or not, because they do want to open up from that top to down perspective here. And as soon as he swings around this, he might be seen. Nope, because he crouches by that hole, and that means Mowgli is able to enter without them knowing.
Ooh, he has an idea that somebody's there, but Nath just doesn't offer him enough to try and turn this into a full-fledged fight. But look at all of these bodies that are just hunting these players on the top floor. Mowgli wants to go with the fight. The drone leads first. There's a reveal on a player, and there's a drop on a hatch. He's not messing around. He's going to see if he can try and bait a bit of a play there, but it's the catch onto Mowgli. Forces him down. There's an hour player around the bathrooms. This is going to turn into a bit of a bloodbath. There's one for Bibu, and he's going to pull away. He's not going to give them the opportunity for the bit of revenge. Yak is toying with the idea, calling a drone, and Bibu's just playing it safe. They cannot find themselves on this man disadvantage, and Yak, well, he's still got to find his way down. Blur, he's holding himself here just around that lounge area, waiting for someone else to try and potentially take a hatch drop, and it falls a little bit silent.
I mean, you do really like this at Navi, right? Just playing in these corners, hoping you get missed drone and see if he can pick up some kills and win the round as a result. We saw Nave do it against G2 last Playday. Blur, however, this time will be falling back. He's more needed on the actual site to stop this final approach in the next 60 seconds to come through. And surely these hatches will be opened up quickly here. However, P4 needs to be quick with these two Selmas. You need to give them as little time as possible to get an impact nade in between, or you need to let them waste one as a result. Banshees are being taken out, and it might be just a push down the main stairs instead, as Shinka does decide to open up on the hatch now with the exothermic.
Well, let's see if they can be a bit sharp with their utility. There's a reveal and a play and the chance of a swing round here, but also destruction that can be done towards the Selmas if they want to see if they can try and catch this with some potential pocket utility. Well, they don't. There it is. The walls pop their way open. There's a little bit more damage and destruction. They have a rotation now. They have Bibu inside Moto. Double down. Shinka's on the far side of Blue. They're rotating for the pressure. It's going to come very soon. They're waiting for the fire to pass. Spray over the top through the chair. Can't quite get it in. P4 is able to catch the wing there of Thunder, but 10 seconds. There goes the first. They're locked in behind the chassis. Thunder kills one with the smoke. The kit is cold. They've got to try and find Yak. Yak's moved himself away. He's on the other side of a soft. They are out of time.
The Banshee there in the end, I mean, it got EMP'd, but they didn't go for it to push at that moment in time, so it stays up, and that is what cost them that round. That Banshee at the bottom of the main stairs, because it caught Bibu off, it caught off the ace at the end as well, and that gives Navi the opportunity to take these gunfights. You know exactly where they are as soon as that starts buzzing around, so well played by them there. I mean, they left it open at the bottom, right? Again, that wall that we saw reinforced reversely by the side of LFO. That was that if they do step into that Banshee, you can take the gunfight, you can find the feed of whoever is trying to push through there. And I was sure that as soon as that EMP goes off and it gets the Banshee, that is when you want to clear it. That's when you want to either go past it or you want to destroy it in a different way. But they didn't do that. They left it up and they created a choke point for themselves. A breach they wanted to go through to get to the site to go for the plants, but the Banshee was in their way. And it slowed them down just enough for the player, I think Kayak, to take down that diffuser.
One thing I've noticed, and I'm only going to say it because we made a bit of a meme about it when it was Blur, secretly doesn't have the Navi operator card.
Oh, doesn't he?
I thought it might have just been for a couple of his operators. So I didn't say anything at first. I was like, maybe he's playing off operators that he hasn't put the card on. Pretty much every operator. So if Navi lose it, I'm not saying they're going to. I'm not saying they might. I'm not saying they won't.
But we know why.
But that's, yeah, I mean, if it was what happened before with Blur, you know. I'm just saying. I mean, we pointed out Blur. It's only fair, secretly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we need to give everybody the equal treatment here.
We're all about equality here. And equally cursing teams. But on the other side of that, LFO, they have their lead slightly diminished to a reason that they're able to put the pressure onto Navi so many times before, which is time.
Yeah, time indeed. And of course that Banshee, that played a big role in that, because if that wasn't there, it could have been a quick overwhelm on the side. But, you know, what ifs are always the case in Siege. What if this or that would have happened? Then World Championships could have been decided by those. Either way, LFO, looking to go for another attack. And construction will be taken quite quickly here, logically as well. The thing, though, is that the main breach is still closed, and there's 2 Bennett wires there. There's an easy way to dispatch of them. Mowgli probably will get a grenade over the top. Needs to make sure that doesn't get caught by any of these ADSs, but I don't think any are in reach. And as he rotates down to the bottom, he might actually try and go for a nade down below, because there is less opportunity of that being caught.
Ooh, the C4 tried to get a bit of a risky catch there, hoping somebody was trying to burn behind that ADS and swing a grenade round, but they weren't. They're actually just going for a gunfight at the time. P4 can't quite get that to connect. Mowgli's holding in underneath. There it is. The jammer gets caught out. It was on the opposite side. There's a spray around. Blur swings, gets confident, drops a drone. As the breach starts to come through on the opposite side, pops that bandit battery. It's not going to really do anything because that window's open, so we cannot try and trick it, but even then, it was popped instantly. They weren't messing around. With the Thatcher on the board, you know it's going to be a pacey approach.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you time that right as well. You know, start placing it before the EMP even pops so you can instantly go for the detonation. B4 finds kill to Blur. That's a 4-on-4 now, and with the main breach being opened up, garage control is the next important thing if they want to go for a plant here. The top of red is still going to be potentially troublesome here, but Mowgli finds an important kill on Nave. B4 finds the red stairs, and now it's only Kayak ready to get him secretly up on the rafters here.
Underneath, though, they spray through. It's enough to cause a distraction and enough for Bibu to hop his way through onto the site. CCTV, rarely seen, but when it is, it's usually the attackers that end up clean.
Mowgli's trying to, like, show on his camera how he managed to get the kill. Like, he was trying to vision hit to the rest of the people, how he was distracting them on the rafters, because he could only see an arm of the player out there, was able to hit it a little bit, and he was instantly being chased by these players, which led to their downfall as Bibu came around the corner. And now LFO are 3-5 up. 2 more rounds for them to get 3 points. 3 out of the 4/5 that they need to make it to the Charlotte Major in the United States.
Yeehaw!
Thank you for that addition.
I don't even know if... I know nothing about America. I don't know if that's a yeehaw part of America.
I don't know if it's a yeehaw part
I
either.
hope I'm just irritating Chowder.
What parts do you have in America? You have yeehaw?
You have yeehaw, you have I'm walking here.
All right. Yeah?
You have oh my god, which is like LA.
Yeah.
Like fancy coffees, that's in my brain.
So that's like 4 or 5 parts now? But fancy coffee's different. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, well it's like I am from LA. Whoa. Like that, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Like you see it like Paris Hilton. Like
yeah.
Hey.
Okay, yeah.
That's my knowledge of America.
So instead of the, was it 50 or 51 states?
There's a lot of...
There's a lot of states. We just have the 5 parts. It's easier to keep track of that way.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Americans. But I'm also kind of not.
But do let us know if it's the yeehaw part. It's good to know. Either way, LFO again on another attack here. They have a couple of them left, and they only need to find 2 to put themselves in a good position to potentially go to yeehaw land. There's going to be a castle barricade that gets opened up. What a gun 6. And there's going to be one of them on the outside, on the highway area, or just the roof, which allows the attackers to look into the bathroom or potentially try and take a gunfight onto the bomb chassis. More importantly, though, is that Yak, he thinks he's feeling quite safe. Really might actually be able to get a bandit trick off. He decides to go for the pickup there. That might be just delayed. No, that's in time. And he will get it there. An extra grenade would have been necessary. This is, by the way, often why you see the castle barricade inside gym towards the jacuzzi wall to be opened up, because that is pressure to come. You can try again. He's just going to get it. Oh, no, he got the wrong one this time.
Yeah, wrong wall and the grenades. I mean, he took a bit of a decision there, but still... That is an important loss. The thing is, you kind of want to open the other wall because then it gives you the sight line down the corridor. It gives you more control. Here, they're going to have a more awkward entrance because now they don't have the cleanest route through. They're just going to have to drive, and they do. Thunder gets one, but they get the bathroom. Mowgli's found his way all the way in. Yak bites back. There's the kit cold in the corridor. So now around the backside of the stairs, Mowgli gives the game away, and there's a bit of a trade out on the opposite side. Rise is on the roof, but Bibu in the bathroom needs a little bit more support here. There's the players still standing. They have the calls, the intel, and they have secretly playing underneath. The grenades bounce round. Blur takes the head off of the remaining bit of health there. Bibu Rise now in the toilet. He's not going to be the 3rd victim that falls from that site, but, well, he is. There it is, Navi. They keep themselves back and forth.
They wanted to go for a quick push there. They didn't know someone was in construction about to swing as Mowgli wanted to take the fight onto the logistics area. And that is where it all kind of fell apart. Also, the grenade not bouncing back properly over the railing of the staircase. It's all small misplacements, mistimings that led to the eventual downfall there. I have to say, though, I'm not a big fan of trying to go for like a cat was meowing in the background.
Well, it's always important.
It's important. That's what I'm saying.
Meowing,
that's why they call it that's why they call it a tactical timeout, so you can help the cat.
Yeah. Like, what does it want? Oh no, he has the seal. It was the seal that was. What sound does a seal make?
I'm not gonna make that sound.
You know the sound?
Of course I know the sound.
In my head, they just like clap.
They do clap as well.
And have the ball in their nose.
We'll find it out after this game. I'll show you a video.
Okay, cool.
Dobby?
No, not Dobby.
Oh, I was going to say.
Donkey. 5-4. LFO. Now, they've obviously now just been on the other end of a NAVI attack timeout.
Yep.
We've had a conversation here. NAVI knows how important this round is because, well, it's 3 points. That's the difference right now. We're not looking at breaking our way through. We're looking at a repeat of a site that, you know, you're trying to find some semblance of victory on, and you were generally quite good on your attacker half. It should have really been yours both times, but it wasn't. I guess that adds that extra importance, because if you suddenly find yourself level, well, then you're going to find yourself back on a site that, you know, maybe you've lost, maybe it's CC, or maybe it's in a slightly different location there onto Church, where it was a little bit more of a back and forth. Here, though,
Probably not having the best game. He's not positive right now. 6 and 7. Also, he does have some incredible kills. Of course, he tries to lead in every single time. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes he gets caught. I think, for example, as he does find Thunder now. I was going to say by the Nitro Cell that was being tossed out through the hatch as the player dropped and he got caught for 75 HP. Does find the important entry now. And the drones are coming through to try and find more.
it's a really early catch. It's an early take there on Thunder. If you're going to talk about Mowgli going a little bit even, Thunder's generally the only one that's behind pace. The game across both teams is a very steady game. There's nobody that's outrightly massively overperforming.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody's sitting around a 1.0. Unfortunately, apart from Thunder, who hasn't really been able to get a bite in. And, he has huge potential as a gunner, and losing him quite early is a bit of a blow, because LFO now have this trade situation stacked up on the window, pressure inside construction, they're slowly slinking their way across, and they're getting a lot more aggressive in this vertical control than NAVI would.
Yeah, you don't want to give them anything up on the top. You don't want an Echo hiding there. You don't want them to retake construction, and they basically stopped this from happening now. They forced them all back towards the actual site. The drones will confirm that shortly as well, and that allows the rest of the team to start headed towards the site. Right, still on that hatch, secretly next to the bomb chassis, might be a prime target for a grenade to bounce around the corner if he still has one. Yes, he does. All they just need is a little bit of information now. And look at that drone that's on the edge of the hatch there. Surely we'll have found out that someone could be there. There is a hot pocket there, though. Also a player that gets caught off. Mowgli finds a second, however, fails to get the hot pocket.
Such a huge and strange loss there. NAVI lost all that territory on the top floor. And then Mowgli just kept pushing. They kept on going deeper and deeper. And if you're talking about why would they never play in the kitchen, it's like, okay, but you still got to play this sort of stairs. You still got to play with an awareness that they can charge your way through. The Echo's on the board. The other players have gone for a hefty rotate all the way underneath. Nobody's in a position to try and respond to this now. They've got that one sort of biting kill, but 30 seconds and a free Echo drone. Shinka's sort of eyeing his way up here towards the site.
The second one is coming on its way, though. It's headed towards the actual site, so that might be a decisive factor in the end. However, with them not really having any other way of challenging this, it is only coming down. No, the Echo drone is going up there. Is it trying to use the hatch? I'm not quite sure either way. They're looking to go for the drops here. Shinka finds one. Mowgli gets picked up, but I believe they're on the billiard table now, and Shinka is going for a plant deep in the corner here. It's only Blur. Does he have anything left? He has a Nitro. Will he be able to find it in time?
Well, no, he's just able to catch one more. The shotgun pops up. The player's gone for a little bit of range there. They know what they're up against. Nath, well, he's down. He might be able to call some things. They have the reveal. The C4 caught in midair by Shinka. A 1 versus 1, and he's going to pull himself as far away from that shotgun as possible. He knows what is in the pockets, and he knows what is in that care. That drone was giving some game away. It's 20 seconds. Blur's going to have to try and bait a play here. Shinka's going to push himself in a little bit more. The flash on one side. Is he going to hold it? He might all the way there. No, he doesn't. Oh. LFO at the brink find that one.
That was not much more than, let's say, 0.2 of a second, I dare to say. Not quite sure if we can get a slow-mo replay on that one, but that was so close there. We almost pulled it off, and this shows you where you should stick in some of these situations. Of course, he lost it this time around, but if it was maybe another player, if he was just 2 steps further back, that could have been a victory there for Navi. That could have been a 5-5 equaled. And as Fresh comes in again complaining about, he shouldn't have won that, he shouldn't have won that. That's not allowed to happen like he usually does. It is LFO, there we have it.
Let's see.
This Nitro gets sniped out.
Yeah, great take there by Shinka. Not always easy to do, even harder when it's a 1 versus 1 high pressure situation. Da-da, da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, 0.006!
I saw the zeros. I saw a full set of zeros. God. You cannot go closer. The reason you'll see that, ladies and gentlemen, at home is
frames.
It's frames. It's online. There's only so much data that can be processed when we're playing an online build. Would it have gone that way on a LAN? I don't know. I can't tell you. I can't tell you. It plays different, feels different.
0.00/006. That was the last.
It was full
frames.
zeros. It was full zeros. It was full zeros. There wasn't 6.
I saw 6 before the 0.
Stop lying to yourself.
So it's like the in-between.
Stop lying to yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just don't want
you
to take these away.
This is online play, my friends, and sometimes these things happen.
It's why you stick, though. Okay, sometimes you have to just go for it. Like in a 1v1, if you're going for the chase, you're losing so much time whilst he's just trying to kite you around. So you stick it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if he was 2 steps further back, if just a single step further back after I saw that there, that would have been your win. That would have been Navi that got that round. However, LFO won it this time, and Kayak, in an early engagement there, will take some damage and deal little to P4.
All right, well, they get the opener this time around. Mowgli, instead of finding Thunder, finds Secretly, who has been having a pretty good game. They've kept themselves active. They've kept themselves in the fight. Again, nobody is having an outstanding game. Everyone's generally having a good game, apart from Thunder being the only player that's unfortunately falling short. And you think maybe if he'd been able to keep alive a little bit longer in the previous round, some things would happen. That's maybes, that's couldas, that's wouldas. But we have our result, and we have how things sort of go here. LFO. They're biting for the chance of 3 points and currently sitting 3rd on the board, moving themselves up to 13 total. Really puts a good distance in here. Navi, they're down on 7, and I think that this slipping away from them means so does any hope.
Well, at least the majority of the hope will be gone as a result. I would have to quickly double-check post this round to see if that will be the case, but it might be the end of it. That might be all that they wrote for their run to potentially the major. Could end here. 2 rounds, however, they have as an opportunity to try and close the gap. I mean, if they win it here, if they manage to go to OT and win, they are still on 9 points, not too far away from the rest of the top 4, and it's still doable. Of course, they would all have to drop some points. There's a quick entry here inside the dirt tunnel. Rise and Shinka are looking to make a quick impact, but the Banshee will give away that game, or might have.
Wow, P4 gets Secretly. They're able to pinch huge pressure. P4 just moves in on the smoke. Yak, hey man, here's some friends, and they know where you are. Swung around to the corner, take the plant spot, take the pressure, and take the corridor now. And suddenly they've isolated it out. Thunder bites back. Shinka can't get the lock in there, and it's a huge moment for Thunder. The smoke over the top again, really well played, forces Shinka back out. Blur's holding a close corner. They've made them into an uncomfortable situation. Nath wants to creep his way around. They're going to plant inside on the back of that Vulcan. There's nowhere they can really go. They're holding the angle anyway. We're a post-plant situation, and we're a one-player situation. No, nice. We're not. LFO lock it in at the end there, and one of the only rounds that was truly clean either way, but it's the cleanest 3 points at the end of the day.
I was going to say, that is probably the most convincing I've seen LFO in this game. Like that last round, them just going for that rush. Rice picking up a triple kill at the end there. And they're happy about it. They themselves know as well, the major is just a